Hey guys, I'm back with another food scraps video. If you saw the first one, it was highly requested that I do more recipes for the leftovers after juicing because cold pressed juice is nothing like what you buy in stores. So I like to create juice blends. However, I will, for the most part, juice them individually so that I have one particular pulp. So I'm starting off with apple juice, in which case, if it's been a few days, it'll definitely create more of a nectar when you go to juice them, so you'll have a lot of pulp in it. However, the bright side is that you now have the perfect snack. And if you add a little bit of cinnamon to this, then you're really doing something. So this is great to keep in a sealed jar for a couple of days and grab it as a snack when you want something sweet, or even better, give it to your kids when they want something sweet, but you don't want them to be eating processed sugars, so they don't reach for the candy as much. And as for the pulp that comes out of the machine, that includes the skin, that I just throw into an ice cube tray like I do most things, because if you're not going to use it right away, it's just the easiest way to preserve it and to save space. Because even for a large amount of liquid, I'm only going to juice like 3 to 4 apples, and that's actually not going to create that much pulp. So if you're not going to use these immediately, I really do actually recommend freezing them, because remember, we have put it through this extraction process, which means that it has actually bruised the fruit and therefore it's going to turn brown. And with this, I'm just gonna make an apple pie oatmeal by defrosting this with a little bit of maple syrup. And also do remember to save a little bit of the juice from the fruit that you're juicing so that there's a stronger flavor profile when you do incorporate it into your cooking or baking. You could throw that applesauce that we made in here as well as the pulp, or you can use just the pulp along with some of the juice. And you can make that into an ice cube as well. Another pulp that I love to save is pineapple. Another way that you can incorporate is in sauces. In this case, I'm gonna be making a pasta dish, which is inspired by one of my favorite takeouts and is not traditionally made with pappardelle, but I'm gonna be using this in place of rice noodles. Either way is delicious. For that, I'm gonna start off with half a can of coconut milk. And side note, I've had this can opener for a while and I really like it because it opens cans the way that they're supposed to be opened, meaning that you can actually reseal them with the top once you take it off, and it doesn't create any jagged edges. And I mean, you can do this with the regular can opener, but like it just feels unnatural because most of us don't hold them correctly. This one just takes all the extra work out of it because there's not 2 handles, there's just one. And to the milk, I'm gonna add a little bit of the starch water from our pasta, as well as 2 teaspoons. Feel free to use more, but I'm just using 2 teaspoons of red Thai curry paste. And the one that I recommend is in the description box along with the full recipes. I'm also gonna slice up some jalapeno, and feel free to de-seed yours if you don't want it really spicy, but I want all that. So I ain't doing nothing but chopping this thinly, and don't worry, I used more than that. Here is where I'm also going to chop up my pineapple, and these are going to degrade, so it's not going to stay in like perfect pineapple chunks. I'm just going to go ahead and break it down further so that they break down faster, because I ain't got that kind of time to be waiting. As soon as I start cooking is when I'm hungry, so and I'm gonna add actual pineapple chunks because, again, remember, we're adding more fiber than we are flavor, even with that little bit of reserve juice. It'll do a little something, but really it'll be mostly fiber. So if you're making sauces or soups, I'm only gonna add like 1 to 2 tablespoons per serving. If you use any more than that, it can be too much. And the great thing about this is that you might be more satisfied by your meals after you eat them because you're gonna have more fiber to keep you feeling a little bit fuller for longer. So something like kale or collard greens, the leaf by itself is cruciferous enough that it's actually kind of difficult for us to digest. So not eating the stalk, totally fine. And instead of just making a juice, because I mean, I'm not getting a ton of chlorophyll since I'm not using the whole food, I'll actually just incorporate it into drinks. And you guys know I love a beverage. So one of my favorite recipes is a kale lemonade, or in this case, I'm gonna make a limeade. So I'll use a couple of limes with a few stalks, and that's enough to fill up a little jar. This I upcycled from a spice jar. These are also excellent to save for like ginger shots. And I'll keep this in the refrigerator as like a concentrate. So instead of committing to making a full pitcher, I can just make a single serving, 1 cup to go with my dinner or a single glass to have with lunch. And another way that I didn't demonstrate because I'm not doing any baking currently, baking, you can put your fruit pulp in muffins. Like orange and cranberry is a really good combination. And speaking of things that I wouldn't normally use, I've also saved up a bunch of avocado skins because I saw this class on Skillshare recently that was just right up my alley. And yes, Skillshare is sponsoring today's video, so quick thank you to them. If you don't already know, which I'm sure you do, Skillshare is an online learning platform. And what really sets it apart for me is like, unlike, you know, platforms like this one, it's actually curated specifically for learning. So no ads. For the things I don't know how to do, I really need it like dummied down. And this class definitely did that for me. And that class is Natural Dyeing, Transform Cloth Using Food Dyes with the Dogwood Dyer by Liz Spencer. And I have never been more excited to take a class. Although there were a lot of steps, this instructor made it seem doable and even had additional resources like an attached document that spelled everything out, like where to source materials. Highly recommend, but if this isn't your speed, of course they have tons of categories that you can choose from if you want to learn about cooking. It's another question I get about how I film and edit. So if you guys want to check it out, feel free to use the link in the description box. The first 1,000 people will get a free trial of Skillshare Premium, and then after that it's like $10 a month. So I'm actually using avocados because it's one of the ingredients that I use very frequently and just have them lying around anyway. Like they're usually in my freezer until trash day. This is me actually creating the dye bath, and since I'm doing a cold process, it's just going to take some time before it's ready. So if you want to see that process, stay tuned. I will show you guys next month. And as always, if you like this video, please do give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. There's lots of videos coming that I think you're going to want to see. I'll see you in the next one.